for this? Yeah, are you ready? About to hit them with that fucking first track. Gotta show all the people that...
Yo, what up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Matt? How's it going?
Dude, been a busy day. Been in a recording session till like 10 minutes ago and on to the next thing. So
Awesome. Very cool. Recording anything good, I hope?
Oh, yeah. No, just got a song that will be, I'm thinking very far ahead at this point. So it's like I have the next EP of stuff that's done. I'm working on the next thing.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep content going. So like if I have to take like a 3-month break, I can.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you've been wicked busy. You recently did a live show performance on Tuned In yesterday, April 20th.
Yes, I did. Oh, that was so fun. It was like, that was a dream come true for me right there.
Awesome. What was it like to play that music in front of a sort of live performance after being in quarantine for so long?
Man, it was really interesting because, like, it is live, and trust me, it definitely was. Because when things didn't go right on my end, I'm like, crap. But like, it was very much like I grew up, like, like performing to a mirror, and so it's like, okay, swap the mirror out with the camera, and it's like, all right, I can do this. I've been doing this my whole life, and so yeah, it was like, and especially with I had a lot of like acting and theater training growing up, and so it was like, all right, cool, like that's your camera, play to that, and like go from there. And so yeah, people got a lot of good responses for the show, which was really cool.
Awesome, very cool. Do you have any other live show performances planned in the near future?
Yeah, I actually have one with the Mindless Morning Show is hosting. It's gonna be just an acoustic thing. It's on the 28th, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're just getting into the promotion phase of that now. So
awesome.
Pretty sure they're announcing it today, actually, because I was like, can you wait till my next show's done?
Very cool. Do you play acoustic guitar?
So I actually don't. I'm such a hypocrite because I'm like, guitar is like my favorite instrument of all time, but I can't play a single note on it. I'm a drummer and pianist. Yeah, I can hit things. Hitting things is great.
There you go. Perfect. Well, when did you first decide that you wanted to start getting into music?
So for me, my parents are both musicians. So my dad's a drummer and my mom's a singer. They actually met in a jazz trio back in the day.
Wow, very cool.
And so yeah, that piano player was third wheel in there. It was great. But yeah, so music was just always around the house because of that. And so when I was 5, I'm pretty sure I was like, Dad, can I play drums? And yeah, it just kind of went from there. And now, oh my God, I've almost been playing for like 20 years, which is, that's weird. I don't like that.
Jesus. That's a long time.
Yeah, right? Like most of my life. And then around the time I was like 13, I joined my first rock band, and like none of the other guys could sing, but I could kind of hold a tune. So they're like, yeah, you can sing and play drums, right? I'm like, yeah. And so that was how I developed that. And before I knew it, I caught the songwriting bug, and I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. Oh my God. And so I went to college, really studied songwriting a lot. And that was where I kind of discovered rapping because I'd never done it before college. And one of my roommates when I was a freshman was like, yo man, you're like better at this than singing, right? I'm like, no. And yeah, then I was like, I guess I'll explore this. And then I got even more obsessed with it. And yeah, then I decided about in 2018, I was like, I want to be an artist. So I really, took the time to like, do all the groundwork, record the music, like make sure I had everything planned, have the logo, get the social media going. And, here we are now 3 years later. It's like, all right, finally starting to get some traction.
Yeah. Well, you've been putting in a lot of work, it seems, to put everything together. I mean, playing drums for 20 years and then rapping for the past 4 years, it seems. Yeah. That's pretty incredible. And then now you're putting out your first EP at the end of this month.
Yes, I'm so excited for that. So that will be at the end of around end of May, early June.
End of May, early June. Cool.
I got my next single actually coming out at the end of this month. It's called Stuck, and I'm very excited to put that one out. At the show yesterday, actually, like everyone was like, "Dude, that's like your best song." I'm like, "Great, you'll be able to hear it soon."
Ooh, interesting, awesome. So, did you get good feedback from playing the track for the first time during last night's live stream?
Yeah. Oh, people in the comments they were like, dude, like, go off. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's good. It's probably the most relatable song that I've put out. I'm about to put out as far as like my catalog goes. It's very much my pandemic song. It was me talking about how like I just felt like I was living through Groundhog Day every day. And like, like every day I'd wake up, I'd play old video games, like, binge TV shows, watch social media content. And I just felt like nothing was like getting done. Cause like, we all felt that way. Cause, the world literally stopped for like 9 months. And still is not the same, but at least it's like, hey, with like all of us getting vaccinated, at least like we're going in the right direction. But yeah, so I kind of just bottomed out there after a while because I was like, okay, my self-worth is connected to my productivity. There's no productivity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and so, writing that was kind of like how I got out of the cycle because it was like, oh wow, I haven't even written a song for like, what felt like months at that point. So it was like, oh my God, this is everything I've wanted to say for a very long time. And it's like, all right, here it is packaged in a nice little bow. Now let's like, see if other people can relate to it. And based on the show yesterday, I think people can.
Oh, definitely. Do you feel like a lot of other artists are going through the same kind of creative lulls because of quarantine and the coronavirus?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you at least from my peers, like the running joke is like we really should listen to our own advice because we're so good at giving it to other people. It's like, no, buddy, you're doing great. It's like, you accomplished this. He's like, but I feel like I didn't do anything. Yeah, exactly. But it's so, yeah, especially in the independent scene, I feel like we've all been very much like what we used to be able to plan out like what would be happening next. And like, okay, cool. Well, in like 6 months, I'll try to put this out. And I feel like we're all just kind of going week by week now. And it's getting better, but it's still like, this is a very unpredictable career at the moment.
Definitely. Everything is still kind of up in the air at the minute. Thankfully, it seems that everything's kind of coming back down a little bit, though. So,
man, I just got my second shot, and I'm very much like, all right, time to get out there again.
There you go. Perfect. I think I have mine scheduled for next week, so hopefully we can get this going. Well, you've lived in quite a few different places, like Maryland, New York, and Nashville. But where would you say that your music is based out of?
Oh God. Ooh. Right now, definitely Nashville. Like all of the creatives I work with, all the songwriters, producers, they're all out of Nashville. So like, shout out Corey Shore, Andrew Gomez, Austin Sean, Tony Chetta. Like they all are incredible musicians and writers in their own rights. But Katie Mack as well. Like a lot of the artists I play drums for, I was about to say they're all out of here. But really, I feel like I found my style and like how I wanted to do things when I was living in New York. Like I did that for about 9 months there in 2019. And I was chasing my theater dreams at the time because I wrote a jukebox musical about 21 Pilots. And then that kind of started my career because it was like, oh, wow, I'm going to release this. Oh, it went viral. Oh, God, I'm getting a cease and desist letter. But I have fans now. It was a wild time. But so yeah, I'd say without New York, Mnerva would not nearly look the way it does.
Okay. So basically it started out in New York and then it basically blossomed in Nashville.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Very cool.
New York was where I got the skills. Nashville was where I got the content.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, Nashville's a great town for it. How did you create the name Mnerva? It's all caps. Is that an acronym for anything?
Yeah. So Mnerva is the Roman goddess of wisdom. Like, back in mythology, I'm a total geek. So like, this is very much like something I would think of. But I was listening when I thought of the moment, like being an artist was born for me was I was working a HR job at a guitar center place, and not guitar center, but like basically they, I had my headphones on shuffle. I really didn't like the job very much. And a song called Mnerva by Deftones came on. And I was just listening to it like, oh my God, I love like these shoegaze guitars and like, this just all the like, production choices they're doing. What if someone took like those types of sounds and put like trap drums with it and like, put those together and like had someone rapping over that. And I was like, that's really cool. I should do that. That feels very me. And so, listening to the song, I was like, Mnerva, what is that? So I started looking it up, Roman goddess of wisdom. And I was like, cool. I kind of want to turn the conventional wisdom of hip hop on its head. Cool. So it's like, with all that in mind, I was like, yeah, let's go with that. And then let's drop the I because SEO.
Cool. Awesome. So it's not an acronym for anything, but just kind of like a soft Deftones kind of reference. But the Greek goddess of wisdom. That's really cool, man. That's pretty cool. How do you feel about being an independent artist? Would you like to eventually be signed, or do you find more creativity in being independent?
Honestly, definitely the goal in the end is definitely a record deal or some type of deal, as far as like being able to. I do music really for the live show, and like having those resources to be able to, like, okay, cool, I have the money to be able to book like an actual show and get my music out to the most amount of people. It's like, yeah, that it wouldn't necessarily need to be a major. Like, I would love, like, the dream would be if I got a Fueled by Ramen deal. Oh my god, like,
Oh my God.
21 Pilots, like, Panic, Fall Out Boy, like Paramore, Grandson, like the list goes on. Like all my favorite artists, and like, they give their artists a lot of freedom while still, like, being able to help them get to like the right audience. And like, I feel like that would be a label like that would be the goal for me, not necessarily like, a Warner.
Cool. Yeah, a more down to earth kind of label like Fueled by Ramen would definitely be more adequate. I feel.
I also, my day job is I work at a ramen shop right now, so I am literally fueled by ramen. So like, that. So if you're like the perfect mixture.
Oh yeah. Have you been a fan of Fueled by Ramen for long, since like the Academy Is days?
Definitely. I remember when Gym Class Heroes was on there, and like.
Oh yeah.
So like, actually I played a show with Travis McCoy back in like, God, this was in like 2019 or so. He was featured on one of my friend's songs, and yeah, he came out like he's the nicest guy.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. From the stories I've heard, he seems like he's a really cool guy. But that's impressive. That's really cool that you did a show that he was at.
Yeah, I've never gone that hard as a drummer. Like that. Let's go.
Well, what artists are you currently listening to or are inspired by?
Okay. Definitely one of my favorites. There's this artist from Columbus, Ohio. His name is Bill Murray, and not like the actor, like
Yeah.
LMURI. And just I remember discovering him a few years ago and just being like, oh my God, this is everything I love as far as like the shoegaze stuff, but also like you're fusing it with like electronic music. That's so cool. So I always plug him whenever people ask me what I'm listening to, because I'm like, I have like every one of his songs absolutely in my brain rent free. But that's I love Grandson. I love NF. I love 21 Pilots. J. Cole's a huge one for me. Trying to think what like lesser known ones necessarily. I was gonna say Mike Shinoda's current solo stuff. I absolutely loved that song recently. Yep. That was wonderful. Been diving into like a lot of like old school pop punk recently, like the Yellow Cards of the world, like the like early My Cab kind of stuff.
Nice. Some Hit the Lights in there.
Yeah, definitely. And like, MGK's newest record has kind of what got me back into all that stuff, because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how good this was. We grew up in a really good time. Like there was a lot of bad music, but this was good.
Yeah, true that. Well, you touched on it a little earlier during the interview about the cease and desist letter that you were sent. But that happened in 2020. And could you just, for your listeners, tell the story about what fully happened with that from start to finish?
Of course. So in 2015, that was when I discovered 21 Pilots with right after Blurry Face came out, because I remember my suite mate in my dorm was like, oh man, this band is so good, you gotta check them out. So he showed me like Trees, and I was like, this is really cool. Okay. And so then I started diving into it. I've heard all Vessel. I'm like, I love this band. And then I got to Blurry Face, and I was like, oh, there's something here. Like, cause I started reading about like the story behind like, everyone has their blurry face, which is their personification of like their dad's flaws, insecurities. And then when I got to the last song, Goner, like when he started screaming like all that stuff, I was like, first off, I'm crying. Second off, like this, I totally see a stage show in this moment. And like, I remember like, just clear as day picturing this thing. And I was like, someone should make a musical out of this album. I'm going to make a musical out of this album. And I'd done theater in high school, but I'd never really attempted any type of project with that type of creativity. So, it took me a long time to like get it right. But after 17 drafts, a workshop, and a free performance in New York, I finally felt like I had it. And so, yeah, I made a trailer for it and put it out to the social medias, and it went very viral overnight. It's like people started freaking out about it, and about half their fan base was like, you're brilliant, this is amazing, oh my God. And the other half were like, please kill yourself, this is so disrespectful, because they thought I was trying to like monetize the lead singer's mental health issues. I'm like, that's really not the story I'm trying to tell. First off, he's not the main character. Second off, like, a lot of them also were just like, this is cringe, which I mean, hey, I guess like not for everybody, but yeah. So basically, by splitting the fan base in two, it very much was not something that the band could easily get behind. Like it would have been very controversial had they co-signed it for me, and that's all I wanted. I was like, hey, I'm putting this thing out there, not to like move forward with this project. I can't do that without your permission. But I want to like get all these fans like on board, because if I do, then maybe you guys are going to be interested. And actually, the drummer ended up liking the post on Instagram, like with the trailer, and I was like, "Oh God, my street cred just went." But yeah, in the end, I finally the manager's email was very easy to find actually, so I hit him up, and he responded with that cease and desist letter, sadly. So I guess they were not interested. But once again, I really don't take it personally, because like it would have been a huge risk for them to do. The safer move would have been to cease and desist letter me. And like, I always knew from the get-go, like that was a possibility. And so because of that, I was like, hey, what have I gotten from this project? Like, my creativity is like, improved so much from having to come up with this entire storyline in this very strict box. And then as well as that, I also had to arrange all the music for theater. So like, okay, cool. I'm analyzing songwriting, I'm analyzing harmony. It's like, it got to the point where I was like, okay, cool. I feel so much more prepared to like be an artist now that I've already gone through these steps in like a different medium. And then over the pandemic, I actually wrote my own original musical as well. So it's like, using those skills, it's like, cool, now I can make something that's entirely my own.
Cool. Was it difficult to get over that almost rejection, not only from the manager, but from also the fans that of 21 Pilots?
Man, it's wild. People still tweet about me to this day. I wish I'm a masochist, so I look it up all the time. People straight up will be, if you look at Blurry Face Musical on Twitter, just people will be like, yeah, remember Blurry Face Musical? Cringe! Stuff like that. So
how do you get over stuff like that? I mean, coming from that and then going into your own thing, obviously you're going to be met with, I don't want to say rejection, but people who feel a strong type of way. How do you get over something like that?
I feel like it needs to be expected. Like, I mean, whenever you like put yourself out there creatively, it's like, yes, it's a part of you, but at the same time, it's like, it also, I mean, hey, it's a product. And like, you're the artist, that's the product. Just because they hate the product doesn't mean they hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And like finding that way to separate myself was really important. And what was cool too was like the loudest voices are always the most negative ones, like just the law of the internet, right? And so I'd have a lot of people message me privately and like, hey man, like this project means so much to me. This is so cool. And like watching that, like, obviously they didn't want to voice their opinion here because all these people would jump on them. And so like, having that duality was really what was helpful for me. But also like once I had to shut the project down, I had like a lot of people from like who liked the musical jump onto me for Mnerva. And so then I released my first single, Geek, like I want to say 2 weeks later. And like, I mean, it got 600 plays before I even like playlisted it, which was like a wild thing. So like that was all the 21 Pilots fans. I didn't have that many people with eyes on me. Mm-hmm. So it was really cool because that was really what started my artist career, so that I wasn't coming from absolutely nothing. And I've retained a good amount of those people, actually. I mean, I had some of them watching that show yesterday, which was so cool. I was like, because I always say I have like 5 fans, but like, I adore them so much. They're wonderful. And like, they actually are very engaged. And like, they keep me very like, whenever I feel down and whenever I feel like, why am I doing this? It's like, oh yeah, I have to do it for these people. Otherwise, like, like they'd be disappointed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's a great way to talk about kind of like the hive mind of the loudest voice in the room doesn't always, mean what everyone else is thinking. I like that. Don't get me
wrong. A lot of them were thinking the same thing. I looked at all those profiles, but at the same time, it was there were also a lot of people who were really for it, and like it was the fact that I was able to go viral really overnight with that, because it wasn't like just post the video and call it a day. Like no, I like hit up like every 21 Pilots fan page, like pre to launch, like, hey guys, are you able to post about this? Hey, are you willing to? And like when we did the launch, I think we had like 25 different accounts, like, like plugging this thing at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it was like, and some of them were doing it even though they hated the project. But you know what? All publicity is good publicity. Am I right?
I guess so.
Yeah. It was a long experience, but hey, I'm here now because of it.
Definitely. Well, you've already released a few tracks, like you've already touched on Geek, but you've also released Bad Guy and Growing Up featuring Danny G. But which has been your favorite song to release?
Oh God. I love them all for very different reasons. My personal favorite lyric I've ever written is actually my most recent single. It's called Famous, parentheses, See You Again. That one, it's about a story I had about me like totally falling in love with this girl when I was like 15, like that I met in the beach. And like, I just remember writing that song and being like, this lyric is just the most honest thing I've ever written in my life. And so, yeah, having that one be out there and then have people just be like, wow, man, I knew you were like a good storyteller, but I didn't realize you were this good of a storyteller. That was like very validating for me in that way. And yeah, live for me, like Bad Guy just slaps. Like that one is it's so fun live. Especially like when I have to hit like the stratospheric notes at the end. It's like, all right, cool. I don't care where I'm at in the show at that point. I do that. And it's like, cool, I'm back in.
There you go.
It's like, we're ready now.
Awesome. Very cool. That must be really fun to play live.
Oh yeah, I finally did for the first time yesterday. Dude, I was like this close to booking my first show like right before the world ended.
Yep.
This is annoying.
So do you have the same producer for all of your music, or do you like to touch on a few different producers for each different track?
So right now, with all the stuff that's out, that was all produced by Corey Shore. He's an artist producer out of Nashville, and I mean, I've known the kid for, oh my God, like 6 years probably now. So, I mean, like we used to live together in college. He was really one of the people that really pushed me like, hey man, you have something to say. Go be an artist. You have something that's worthwhile. And so I remember experimenting with like, trying to find what is Mnerva sound for like, hours with him. And Bad Guy was actually the song where we found it, like that little guitar riff and like the chorus, the one note thing. Like that on top of the drums, I was like, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. Oh my God. And so, yeah, so he's produced everything that's out already. And my next single, Stuck, he also produced. And then after that, I'm starting into my next phase for my EP, Talk Too Much. And Talk Too Much was produced by Andrew Gomez and Tony Chetta. Andrew, I did my first session with him. We did a song called Quarter Life Crisis. It's going to be the first single off the EP. And that was like, cool, this is my new bar. All right, this has really changed the game. Like really leaning much more into like my Linkin Park influence and like my more of that like early 2000s like rap rock stuff. And like because I always will be a rapper, but I'm very much like I'm really a rock artist at heart. And so because of that, it's like getting to finally do that, but still make it like new and current and like not feel like all those old songs. So it's like now that excites me. And so yeah, we did a whole EP of that kind of stuff, and then it's a lot of it's really cinematic as well, like with the theater influence coming in. Like definitely the song I ended the show with yesterday. It's called The Interview, and that's another song I'm really excited about because it's kind of like my finale to my show, if you will. But if the show was like an EP.
Nice, very cool. Well, will the tracks Geek, Bad Guy, any of those appear on the new EP, or do you think that you'll keep those as singles?
I'm gonna keep those as singles for now. Yeah, I had one more track for like that whole collective EP, but I was unable to clear a sample for it, unfortunately. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna let those songs and stuff like live as like their own. Like, hey, this is like proto Mnerva, and then once Talk Too Much comes out, it's like, cool. This is the direction I'm going. Like, for now on.
Cool. Will Stuck be on there as well? Probably.
Stuck will also be its own thing. What I'm seeing Stuck is like kind of like the transition phase because I'm like all my old stuff is like rap, right? And then my new stuff it's like a nice little mixture. Stuck is like it's like, oh hey, he can sing too. Who would have thought?
Awesome. Very cool, man. Very cool.
I'm Bad Guy, but it's more like rap singing, and Stuck's a lot more like, oh cool, like he can carry a tune. Look at that.
Will the album or the EP artwork for Talk Too Much feature the same artists that you've used on the singles that you've released thus far?
I would love to. Kari is she absolutely kills the cartoon vibes I've been doing for everything. She actually was the assistant stage manager for my New York production of Blurry Face the Musical. So once again, like the connecting of the two worlds. So yeah, no, I would definitely love that. I do think moving forward though, for the Talk Too Much era, I do want to change the art style a bit just because it's like cool. Like that was one phase, on to the next one.
Yep.
And I'm excited to start exploring that because right now I've been so in Stuck world, with the single dropping in 9 days. Oh my God, it's dropping in 9 days. With that happening, it's like, all right, cool. Once that gets done, then I can focus on all this next stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. And her name was Kari?
Kari Tilly, yes.
Kari Tilly. Awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. she exceeds my expectations with every new one she does. Like she just keeps like stepping up. Like you see from like Geek to Famous and the art style, just like
Definitely.
It's insane.
Definitely. Well, so you've talked to me about the singles that you've put out, the single that you have coming out, and then an EP, and then you spoke a little bit about what you have beyond the EP. But what we haven't really talked about is merch quite yet. Do you have any ideas for merch to come out in the next few months?
Yeah, a little bit. I have a shirt based on the interview that I really want to put out. I gotta just wait till I get that song out finally, but it's just gonna be. I hope it gets better than this on a shirt. Yeah, and so then from there, I got stickers with my logo. Yeah, I was just selling those yesterday at the show, which was cool. And then, far as from there, got a little. I really do enjoy my logo and like what it means, and so I very much am like, all right, cool. I think I can definitely just put this on a lot of other stuff, like hats and like shirts and everything else. So we'll see. I need the money for that first, so that's what the day job is for.
Do you think that there will be any physical releases of the EP or any other type of merch, CDs, tapes?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it yet, but at the same time, like, God, I remember just being a kid and like going to FYE like every like day after school and like buying CDs. So I'm like that always will have like a nostalgia for me. So yeah, probably having physicals in the future is very much something I will be doing. But once again, money.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, you mentioned before about how the meaning of the symbol and what it means to you. Could you talk to me a little bit about what the symbol means to you and what it's of?
Yeah. So my logo, it's actually just pull it up here. I'm pretty sure I have it. Do I not have it readily available? I don't think I do. That's fine. But basically, it's this thing called a wisdom knot, because Mnerva is the goddess of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And so usually a wisdom knot is vertical, but I made it horizontal because I was like, all right, cool. I really want to turn the conventional wisdom of these two genres, rock and hip hop, on its head for like, because we know what they sound like together. Because like, we have the Linkin Parks of the world and like all the like 90s new metal stuff. I'm like, cool. What if instead of like rap rock, it was like rock rap? You know what? Yes, that's right. So it's like, like coming at it from more of a hip hop perspective than more of a rock perspective. And so like, because of that, I turned the symbol this way. And one, it's a cool design. Two, it's like, all right, cool. It has the meaning of like, being connected to the name and also like what I want to do with it.
Okay, cool. It's a very unique symbol as well. I mean, it's pretty discernible in all of the single artwork.
Yeah. I definitely love like I think Breaking Benjamin is like one of the coolest logos ever. It's like 4 B's like interlocked and the fact that they've had that from like day one. It's like that's always been a part of the brand. I'm like I love that idea. So when I finally found that symbol, I was like, cool. This will be like my version of that. I love this.
Cool, awesome. And did you create it yourself, or did you just took the image and rotated it?
No, I definitely had I drew a very bad sketch pit, and I was like, hey, Ari, can you like make a PNG of this, please? I'm such a bad artist too, so she really just turned it into something that was really cool.
Very cool. Well, what song off the new EP would you like to make a music video for?
Ooh, so I have a live video actually that I just finished for the first single, Quarter Life Crisis, and that one, it looks so good. It's like a bunch of it's like me and just full red lighting, like with a moving camera around, and that one's wonderful. But I keep talking about the interview because that really it's like my favorite song I've ever made, and that one, the whole point of the song is it's like me going to a job interview, the interviewer asking me like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And me being like, I don't know. And so that one, I feel like I could make a really good video for. And that one is very much it'll be the last single off the project at this point. So I'll be doing like Quarter Life Crisis. Then I got a song called Talk Too Much. I got a song called I'm Not You. And then the interview will be the last one. So, awesome. I'm probably going to try to do a video for each of them. I'm going to be working overtime at that restaurant trying to get that cash.
So it's going to be a 4-track EP.
It's going to be a 6-track EP actually, because it's going to have a overture, and then I got one other song called Picture Perfect. I love it. Album track though. I love it though. So got to be on there. But yeah, those will definitely be the 4 that I'm really pushing.
Interesting. Having an overture in an EP is I don't want to say almost unheard of, but you don't really see that as much as you do in an album. What makes you want to create the EP rather than just putting out an album?
So for me, it was like definitely with the EP, I kind of want to like have people dip their toes in before I like, really get into like, I want people to really be like, be watching and listening before I like decide I want to do the album out. So I probably will just keep doing the EP thing. Like I'm actually working on my next EP right now after this one. And I'm like, cool, like keep these small releases. So it's like, satiate, like give them a little bit, give them a little bit, give them a little bit. And then like, once I finally get like, enough traction and hopefully like, a label's involved or like, I have some more money on the table. It's like, cool. Now let's really do the like, hey, this is the debut from Mnerva. This is like, where I'm going for the rest of my career.
Cool. Do you see that happening in the next 5 years, like you've talked about in the interview?
In the interview, the consensus I basically come to is in 5 years, I want to be happy, whatever that means. So like, whether that means I'm like, in like, I'm in like, a really good relationship. I'm able to like, have put food on the table with music. Like, just think I'm at a point where like, I'm part of a community. It's like, that's really what matters to me. Like, so, if it turns out the music is where it happens and like, I get that deal and everything works out, then that's amazing. I'm going to work every day to like put a brick on the wall to like, try to make that happen. But like, in the end, if like, I'm pushing 30 at that point and I'm just content with like where life's gone, I'm like, cool, that's a win.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, being happy is pretty essential in everybody's life or in everyday life. But it's really cool that, you're willing to, I don't want to say settle for happiness, but put that as kind of like a top priority on the list rather than just
people who will do anything to get famous, do anything to like be successful. Like they're miserable. It's like, I think there's a way to do it without sacrificing that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, I have just a few more questions to be exact, just to wrap up this interview. If you were stranded on a desert island, what would be the one album that you had to have with you?
I actually asked this question to like everyone. I'm so glad you did that.
Don't say Blurry Face. Don't.
Anything but that, please. I love that. Never hear it again. I would say for that one. See, usually I say 5 albums. I don't say one. If I could only have one record, I would probably do Songs About Jane by Maroon 5.
Interesting. That's the one with Sunday Morning on it, right?
Yeah, that one. I think that record it's so varied in what's on it. And like, I feel like every time I listen to it, I always get something more from it. It also just reminds me a lot of childhood because like my parents played it at like every family function for like my entire life. And yeah, that one, I feel like every song is incredible on it. Like Adam's voice and songwriting is ridiculous, especially at that point in his career. My God. And yeah, that one, there's so much musical complexity as well as just pop, like proper pop like writing as well. And it's like that perfect mixture of like, an album that like hits on so many different levels.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Cool.
An alternate would probably be like Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park. I mean, my God, that one is also my childhood.
Yeah, definitely. That started I don't want to say it started the new wave genre, but it definitely got things moving.
And it was definitely it was kind of the pinnacle. It was like there was all the stuff like in the underground, and then bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit were like really popping off. But like they were kind of like okay, cool, and this is your commercial peak for this.
Yeah, legit, yeah. Definitely. I mean, there were bands like Mudvayne that were doing their thing, and they tried to mix rap rock, but I don't think anybody did it as radio friendly, I guess, as Linkin Park.
Exactly. And I mean, like seriously, people always were giving them hate before Chester died and everything, but like you revisit those albums and like they hold up.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
The first one I ever bought. I ever bought ever.
Awesome. Very cool. Final question for you. What would you like your listeners to know about you, or what would you like to announce to your listeners?
Oh God. I'm 24 years old, and I am just now discovering that, like, don't be afraid of judgment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so, like, I just started therapy recently, and, like, it's been, like, the best decision of my life. And I'm realizing that my entire life has been, like, based off shame of, like, liking the things I like and, like, like, making the music I make because, like, it's not cool and it's not, like, all these things. And, like, I love anime. I love comic books. Like I'm your stereotypical like geek in that way. And it's like I've always been like, oh yeah, I love that. Like screw this, it's wonderful. But like no, I was just feeling shame, and it's like I just encourage people like, hey, if you like things that aren't on the beaten path, like that's okay. Like you're gonna find by being open about that, you're gonna find people that like feel the same way. And now that I'm finally doing that, because I've not been my whole life and trying to be something else. I'm just happier. And it's like, I'd encourage my fans to like, hey, be you, whatever that means, as long as you're not hurting somebody.
Very cool. Words of wisdom. Just be you. I love it.
Right, man.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it, and you taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down, or in your case, stand and talk. It's been awesome.
Dude, wonderful. Thank you so much, man, for having me.
Anybody who talking behind my back, I'm the future, and pretty soon you'll see that I'm a motherfucking geek, but y'all ain't better than me. Now I ain't ever braggadocious, but I'll make an exception, cause I wanna send a message and I need some attention, but